you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today we have another rock star in the building. We have the mayor of Oklahoma City and also the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the one and only David Holt. Welcome to the pod.
Yeah, thank you so much. What do I call you? DJ, Maverick, Deej?
Hey,
what do you want?
It all works for me.
Okay.
Maverick is cool. Just whatever.
All right,
you like. Yeah.
all right. Maverick it is then.
Perfect.
Mav for short, perhaps.
I like it. For the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm David Holt. I'm the mayor of Oklahoma City, America's 20th largest city and the reigning NBA champs. I have been mayor for 7 years. I was born and raised here in Oklahoma City. I went out to college in D.C. after graduating from Putnam City North. I ended up working in the White House for a couple years, came back home in 2004, had married my wife by that point, Rachel, who's from Philadelphia. And I ended up being chief of staff to my predecessor, Mayor Cornett, for 5 years. Was in that role when the Thunder relocated here, when we passed MAPS 3. And then I ended up being elected to the state Senate, served there for 8 years. And that's where I was when I decided to run for mayor in 2018. I'm also the dean of the Oklahoma City University School of Law, as if I didn't have enough going on. So.
That's awesome. Oklahomans are so good at like coming together when we have to because of tornadoes or whatever the case may be, right? The bombing. But now it's like we're the champions.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a champion, right?
Well, it will always be surreal, especially if you're an OKC kid who grew up here as I did. And then, I graduated from high school in 97. So, I was a teenager growing up in Oklahoma City when like the Bulls were really good, right? So, and back then you only had like 40 cable stations. The WGN was one of them. So, and unless you were, I don't know how you would have picked a team in Oklahoma City at that time because the Mavericks were terrible. No offense to people named Maverick.
Well, that's the thing. That's a great segue because I always get crap because I was a Mavericks fan still, right?
Oh, yeah?
Because there wasn't a
Yeah,
team. So if you like basketball, it was like the Mavericks.
That would have been the closest team, but they weren't historically very interesting. So you were just as likely to be a Bulls fan or a Lakers fan or, just pick a team from the United States. The point really being that living in Oklahoma City did not give you a sense that you would ever have your own team. That was beyond comprehension. You didn't feel like you were in a place that really mattered or was really a part of the greater American story. I sometimes have said that growing up in Oklahoma City in that time felt like living in an alternate universe outside of American pop culture, right? Like nothing ever happened here. You were never going to see a celebrity or a great basketball player or anything like that.
Right.
That was why, that's one of the many reasons why the bombing was so jarring. Obviously it was this horrific experience for our community, but it was also weird that like suddenly everybody knew something about us. And though we pride ourselves, rightfully so on our response to that, we can't really build a city identity around an act of terrorism, right? And so we were still, after that, looking for something to identify with, and ultimately it became Major League Professional Sports, specifically the NBA, specifically the Thunder. But that still feels crazy to me that we managed to attain that. And it was a lot of work, and it required, some pretty random freak things to happen in American history for that to even be possible. As we sit here, we're almost 20 years exactly to the arrival of the Hornets in Oklahoma City. And so through Hurricane Katrina forcing the Hornets to have to be somewhere else for a couple of years, we got an audition. And if not for that audition, I don't think we ever would have been able to relocate the Sonics here to become the Thunder and 17 seasons later become the champs. So it's just for me, when you celebrate that moment like we did this summer, and the parade went right by your studio here, with 500,000 people living in this amazing historic moment for our city, it's just hard not to always think about how crazy it is that we got to this point, all the things that had to come together, and our renewed commitments. I mean, we passed a vote in 2008 to fix up the arena. We had to pass another vote to keep the team in 2023. We've done our part, but it has taken that, none of this is ever going to be easy. It's never going to be easy when you're the 42nd largest market. I said earlier we're the 20th largest city, but markets are what counts in professional sports, and we're the 42nd largest market. So we're always going to be on the edge of existence in this world.
Yeah.
But here we are. We have, crawled our way up to the very top of it today.
Yeah. And let's paint that picture for that parade, because those that were online, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a lot of hate. People were saying people didn't show up to the parade. It wasn't big. But if you were there in person, like I was, like you were, it was many streets. Like it was like huge.
Well, I saw that. I saw some of that. It was, I would have to really just characterize that as kind of intentional misinformation, which often happens. Usually it's in the context of politics, something I'm very familiar with.
They were like showing just like one little picture.
It was a picture taken at like 7 that morning or something, I deal with that all the time, right? I mean, there's exaggeration, there's persuasive arguments, and then there's just outright making it up, right? And I saw some of that. I don't think that lasted very long. I mean, maybe there's somebody who only saw that and then moved on with their life and missed the actual reality of the parade. But, once the parade actually happened, I mean, ESPN and everybody else properly, showed the footage and the videos and the pictures and illustrated the reality of it, which was, it was 500,000 people, which, I'm sure there are larger championship parades in American history, but obviously happening in places with much more people.
Right.
To have 500,000 people means that 1 out of every 8 human beings in the state of Oklahoma came.
Middle of the week, right?
Yeah, it's a weekday, and I'm counting men, women, and children in that 4 million for the state's population. So for a state of 4 million to produce 500,000 people in one place at one time is absolutely impressive.
It was super well executed, and I think it was unique because many of the players didn't even ride the bus. They were just like walking alongside the entire parade.
Yeah.
It was really cool just to see that.
It was obviously for them. I mean, they're young. It was their first championship too. We were all figuratively, some literally drunk in the moment, and I think the players will remember it the rest of their lives just as well as the fans did.
I know what's the saying, you've got lightning in the bottle, but we've got thunder in the bottle, right? Like that means real dollars where people coming in, restaurants, merch, you name it, right?
Yeah, well, there's 2 levels to that. One quantifiable that you're talking about, one probably more impactful but less quantifiable that we all kind of know, but it's just harder to kind of tell you what the real dollar value is. But we know, just for example, that June's sales tax receipts for 2025 were up 11% from the same June the year before.
Amazing.
May was down 1%. So like year to year, things are kind of flat or maybe a little down, except for that month. So having all those extra games that we didn't have the year before, having all those 500,000 people down here that we didn't have before, absolutely made a huge difference. But what I said, and I said this a lot when we were running the arena campaign, is, if you really want to know the value of the team, forget about restaurants and hotels and tickets and merchandise. Tell me what it was like living in OKC in 2007.
Just like Bricktown alone.
Right? Tell me what it is in 2025. Talk about the restaurant scene. Talk about the culture. Talk about the diversification of the economy. Talk about the international profile. The fact that everywhere you go around the world now, people actually have something to associate with OKC. That is a value that may literally be hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars to our annual GDP. But it's like, how do you quantify that? The best you can do is just say, like, look at life then and look at life now and tell me that's a coincidence. When you get your first Major League Professional Sports team in American life, it opens a door to a new club.
Yeah. It's like a worldwide thing.
Yeah. And so it's just like changes everything.
Yeah.
And that changes things that obviously have nothing to do with basketball. And that is obvious to us because we still can remember what life was like before. there'll be a time when we take it for granted, but I don't think we're there yet. And I think that vote on that arena in 2023, where we got 71% on the kind of question that lots of cities fail, I think it just showed that we get it. We understand how important this is to us. And we also kind of understand too, whether we like to admit it or not, that like it's very fragile when you're the 42nd largest market. So we really have to make sure that we hold on to it. And we've done what you have to do that.
So how do you think we take that momentum and run with it? Because OKC traditionally might have been considered oil and gas economy traditionally, right? Now, I don't know how you feel, but maybe we pivot to be more sports, entertainment, concerts, tourism. How do you think we should pivot?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've already seen it over the last 2 decades, how our economy is diversified to where when the price of oil and gas drops, like the whole city doesn't
we're hurting.
sneeze like it used to. So, aerospace is a big sector for us. A lot of that centering around Tinker Air Force Base. But just last week, the visitor economy was, we released a report that reminded us all how important the visitor economy is. We had 24 million people visit in 2024, an economic impact of over $4 billion. When you and I were kids, I mean, the only people who visited Oklahoma City were your blood relatives, right? And you could take them to the Cowboy Hall of Fame. That was about all you had.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's like all the attractions we built, the convention center, all these events that you're talking about. And so sports plays a major role in the visitors economy when you think about the NBA games and the playoffs, and you think about the Women's College World Series, and you think about all the paddle sport events, the Olympics that are coming, all of that stuff. Yeah, that's a huge driver for the visitor economy, which, again, also sort of like in an intangible way has these follow-on effects because you're also getting people to visit here, see it for the first time. Some of those people ultimately become residents. Sometimes they become just job creators. They become ambassadors. They become investors. I mean, the bottom line is that people don't live in, visit, invest in cities they've never heard of.
Right.
And all of those events help people hear about us. And that's the first step towards real world economic impacts that clearly we have felt over these last 2 decades.
I really love what you did with the days too, with dedicating to each of the players. Was that your idea that you're like,
most of them, for better or worse, most of my ideas are my ideas. Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
I didn't really run that one past anybody, but I noticed how the Knicks and the Pacers did a thing where they threw every single player's name on a street sign for like a few weeks,
I see.
And I thought that like every player ethos also kind of resonated with this franchise. I mean, the way they've run things kind of from the very beginning. I mean, just like the fact that the only retired number is Nick Collison, right? Not a guy who won the league MVP, but like was a real team guy. They've always sort of stood for the idea that everybody on the whole roster matters, Right. So I thought that would resonate, right? Like just to pick the top 3 guys wouldn't have felt right, And as it turned out, it was also like a nice rhetorical way in the moment to announce everybody, I mean, I could have just said all their names, but instead I said like, hey, it's going to be Adam Flagler Day, I mean, there's even hardcore fans that are probably like, well, who's that again? But it gave every one of them their moment in that rally at the end of the parade, and also their own day, which, is like today, like life is half lived on social media. So even though it's not like we had, a ceremony every day on the steps of City Hall, but we posted it on all the social media channels, and everybody could kind of like think about that player for that day and comment about their memories around that player. And some of the players, embraced it. I mean, I think by the end, both J-Dub and Shea had like marketing videos associated with their days that they that like either they or like Converse launched or something, that day for their days, So no, it's super cool. I mean, it's not bad to be the mayor sometimes, right? And so it's fun to get to do those things and come up with those ideas and carry them forward. But what's most fun is when other people, like take your idea and kind of run with it.
Yeah. And I love that you're always repping for the city, whether I see you in New York, wherever the case may be, you're always rocking OKC. So big shout out for that.
That's that's the job, I think, right? Like, but it's fun to do.
Definitely. So you wear many hats, right? Mayor, dean of law school, businessman. But where do you feel most at home? Where do you feel like, okay, this is David, or is there?
Well, I try to be, the same person in front of the podcast microphone as I am at home. I mean, I certainly love being home because, there is so much of this, of my multiple jobs is like got me bouncing all over the place. Like like keeping up with emails and texts is like so hard because I don't, like a normal person, get much time to just sit at a computer. So it's nice to like just be home on a weekend or to like go to a movie with my family or go on a trip with my family. Those are probably my favorite times. Mm-hmm. But I hope I'm always sort of the same person. I'm aware that there are politicians, people in public service who are like completely different people.
Right.
In different spheres. But, that sounds exhausting to me. I would much rather just be who I am.
And I wish that wasn't the case because I think like if you get to know a person, especially when they're in a podcast, long form, you get to really know them and see, what motivates them. How can you relate to them? It's just like they're holding back when they can share so much about themselves. Right?
Well, sure. I mean, but some of these people, maybe you'd be terrified if you found out the real personas. But
yeah, that's true. So I don't know if this is true or not, but based on your IG, I would say that I would consider you a foodie.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that implies a knowledge of ingredients or food preparation. I still have to Google everything.
To me, it's just enjoying like the cool spots.
Well, listen, here's what I say. Like, and this is a little oversimplifying, but my view of the Oklahoma City cuisine or culinary scene is when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, there weren't really chefs. I mean, I think that's maybe unfair to a couple of people, but the reality was, for me, it felt like every kitchen was manned by an 18-year-old kid on the grill. Like that was food scene of Oklahoma City.
Yep.
It was what kind of burger were you going to get? And so one of the signs of a maturing city, as we are, has been this ascendance of a food culture, right? I mean, now there's magazines around it. There's obviously like so many chefs, right, who have made a national splash, and then obviously these amazing restaurants that we have in every imaginable category.
Diverse.
Yeah.
So
and
diverse.
like, again, it's like maybe people would think, oh, Oklahoma City, if they were to elevate their food scene, that must mean that they just have even better barbecue and burgers than they did before. But no, it's like we have Laotian cuisine winning awards. We have, our James Beard Award winning Chef Black is from Jamaica. I mean, like the list goes on and on. I mean, there's all this diversity. Our pho scene is like nationally known. I mean, again, I could go on and on, but it's so cool to get to highlight that. And that's a big part of quality of life, I mean, many people eat 2, maybe 3 times a day. And so like having something more than just a Waffle House and a burger joint is pretty critical, I think, to the identity of a community. So I'm really proud of that. And so, it's like, I don't like have like a calendar of places I'm going to go. I really just post the food.
But I think you're in the know because oftentimes when it's a new spot or something like that, I'll see it pop up on your IG.
Well, sometimes, I get invited to like a soft opening or something.
Okay.
That's a guy. Yeah, that's a fun moment. But I when I eat meals in Oklahoma City, assuming it's a locally owned restaurant, I'm generally going to post a pic. Why not? Right? It's like it'll hopefully tell maybe 2 new people about this place, and they'll be intrigued enough to want to go try it out themselves. I don't like do like reviews or anything. I just say like great meal, so and so. I don't like go into any great detail. I think the pictures usually tell the story.
Yeah. Can I put you on the spot? Maybe some hidden gems, maybe 2 or 3, or would you rather reserve like?
Oh, well, I mean, it is a dangerous territory for a mayor to pick a favorite. So through the years, I will say a sentimental favorite for us since the time my wife and I moved back for me to here for her in 2004, right at almost down to the week that we moved, Rococo opened, and we lived near there when it was on Penn. And so we've always kind of like celebrated special occasions there. So, that's kind of what I usually identify. Going any deeper than that would probably be dangerous. But there's so many amazing places. I mentioned, some of the places that have won or been nominated for James Beard's. Florence's is also on that list. I mean, I found like when you start to think, well, where do I want to take, if I get the opportunity to take like a really famous person somewhere, where do I take them? Well, intriguingly, it turned out to make a lot of sense when I got to take Martha Stewart out to dinner and I got to take Leonardo DiCaprio out to lunch.
Oh,
like,
wow.
both Achievers.
Really?
There you go. So there's an interesting, it's like, it's a cool ambiance. It's like a really reliable menu with a lot of different good options. But I mean, there's just so many amazing places, and that's what's so cool. One of the many things that's so cool about Oklahoma City in this era is just the diversity of the food scene, and again, to somebody who's lived here a long time, the sort of surprising diversity and excellence of it.
I think you have a coolest job because, like you said, you get to like go different places, highlight different things. Another thing that you like to do is go to elementary schools and read the Goodnight OKC and also your city hall sessions where you're bringing artists, right? Like all that, you just kind of like to highlight things because that's kind of why I started the podcast as well, to highlight OKC and people doing cool stuff. Yeah. Is that why you do that or what spurred those ideas?
So there's like 100 elementary schools in the city limits of Oklahoma City.
Wow. Okay.
And across many, many districts, right? Districts that may have the name of a neighboring community often cross into the city limits of Oklahoma City, right? So there's like a bunch of elementary schools in Edmond Public Schools, in Mustang Public Schools, and Moore Public Schools that are actually in the Oklahoma City limits. So all of those elementary schools that are in our city limits, in our 620 square miles, adds up to like 100. Wow. And I thought of this, well, I'll read Goodnight OKC, this book created by the Junior League 15 years ago. And it'll be cool. Like I'll read it to kindergartners. It'll be a way for me to kind of get to every corner of the city. It'll be a way to, teach some kids about our city's history and culture and attractions. And as it turns out, going to 100 different places takes a while. So like I'm 7 years in now and I'm still not done.
Wow.
But I try to do it every Friday. Life intervenes sometimes. Plus, obviously I don't do it in the summers when school's out. Didn't do it for like a year or two during COVID. So that ate up some of my reading time. But yeah, I'm still not there yet, but I was there last Friday. I think I have one, maybe I'm out of town this Friday, but I'm still grinding it out.
Yeah.
And then, and it's cool. It's fun. And again, like I said, like you said, it highlights the city. I mean, it does kind of like shine a light, at least for that moment in time where I posted on social media, everybody lives near an elementary school. So at some point in 8 years or so, people are going to say, oh my gosh, he was in my neighborhood.
Did you notice a change once, they started seeing you taking pictures, maybe with J-Dub or something? The kids are like, oh, okay, we know.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, these are kindergartners. They barely know their own names. I mean, like, no, they're not hyper aware. In fact, there's a part in the book about the Thunder, and I noticed until recently, they really didn't know who the Thunder was. I mean, these are like 5-year-olds, right? So like they barely would know. I noticed just reading last Friday, I guess it was my first reading since the championship. Everybody in the class of kindergartners knew the Thunder. So there's been a jump. So I guess I say all that to say they're definitely not to the stage where they know the players or they know the mayor yet. But no, so I don't think there's a difference now. But they know mayors from like Paw Patrol or something. So they think it's cool to meet the mayor, but not because they've ever heard of me before, but because they've heard of mayors, and they have been left with the general impression that that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You also asked about City Hall sessions. Yeah, that's super fun, and we're over 30 episodes now, and that's where I have generally a local artist perform a concert of like 3 or 4 songs in my office, kind of our version of what people might think of as the Tiny Desk series.
Right.
One time we had Indigo Girls perform, so I can't say it's always been a local artist, but most of the time it has been. And it's really amazing. I think it's created a fun legacy, and you can go to, anybody can always go to the City of OKC YouTube channel, and there's a playlist just of the City Hall session episodes.
Awesome. Are you a big music guy yourself, or?
I mean, I like life, man. Like I like food. I like music. I mean, I don't know that I would consider myself to be an outlier in any of those areas, but these are all the things that make life worth living. And
that's what I always ask the guests. That's one of the questions. If I pull up your playlist, who am I going to find on your playlist? So,
well, I'm, class of 97 high school. So, it's going to be like
grunge
90. Well, a little bit. Like, 90s hip hop probably predominantly,
Okay.
but also like
Coolio.
yeah, maybe like more late 90s, you know, like
Okay.
Jay-Z, Wu-Tang.
Okay.
And then Busta Rhymes. Man, as we're sitting here, the VMAs were just on, and they had a
Yeah.
great Busta Rhymes performance. Named after an OU football player, by the way. There's always an Oklahoma tie.
Mhm.
And but also like, I mean, the Beatles are so, I mean, it's very trite in my view to say the Beatles are amazing, you know, but I grew up on that as well, and you know, never wandered too far from a Beatles song or a Paul McCartney song.
So being in the 90s, were you team NSYNC or team Backstreet Boys? Do you remember? Or maybe neither one?
I was not a teenage girl. So.
Neither was I.
Neither.
But I have to say I'm team NSYNC. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't think I have a strong preference in that
Okay.
respect.
Very cool. So do you ever come up with some ideas and they're like, really, this is like off the wall? Or when you're pitching these ideas, do they just like give you the runway? Like, let's go for it or what?
I guess it depends, like what kind of idea, you know, for better or for worse. When you're the mayor, you just do them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't really have to pitch anybody. You just do.
That's awesome. You just have creative liberty. Just
Yeah,
do
man.
whatever.
It's
Yeah.
I think these are great outlets for creativity.
Yeah.
People probably don't automatically think that, right? That if you're a creative person, you would become the mayor. But like, to me, I get this creative outlet to help build the city I want to live in. And there's a lot of ways that manifests itself. But I think I am jotting down, literally or metaphorically, ideas like all day long, you know, just like if I were a songwriter with a notebook,
Love that.
you know, writing lyrics. I mean, like and I hope people kind of can, to some
You're like
extent.
in the shower and you're like, hey Siri, take it over real quick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think as mayor, I've done a lot of different new, unique things, at least for the mayor of Oklahoma City.
Mhm.
And I think that's a reflection of how much I've enjoyed the creative outlet that it provides.
Yeah. My understanding is both your mom and your grandfather inspired you to go into public service. Is that right?
Yeah. And my dad too. I mean, like, so my grandfather was in the Army, career military, a colonel.
Mm-hmm.
That's my maternal grandfather, Colonel Leonard Fuller. And then my mom, Mary Ann Fuller Holt, she was a social worker, worked early in her career for what ultimately became the state agency for mental health.
Yeah.
My dad, he was a school teacher for 29 years, mostly in Putnam City schools, Putnam City North and Putnam City High School, AP English teacher. So, I mean, it's like, that's what I come from. Awesome for people who come from a family of entrepreneurs or business people. But yeah, I come from public servants. Nobody ever ran for office or anything like that, you know, but I come from, teachers and veterans and, social workers. And so I think that's kind of how I was brought up. So seems, I guess it made sense to me that when, even when I was in elementary school, I was student council president, and I was always just,
So the signs were there.
yeah,
by the way.
I was voted most likely to become president.
Okay.
In my senior year of high school, I was always, involved in the group of people, influencing and hopefully improving the community that I was a part of, from student council all the way on. So when I went to DC, I think it was, again, sort of being attracted to that. Got a political science degree at George Washington. So yeah, in public service is all I've ever known. I mean, I worked first in staff jobs and then in elected positions.
And I think being a mayor is one of those weird jobs where you can't really put a job description on it, right? Like it changes day to day. And also you probably have other duties that you have to do in order to provide for your family, stuff like that, right? So it's difficult.
Yeah, well, sure.
People
yeah.
probably don't imagine, like, mayor is probably fun 24/7, but they don't imagine all the behind the scenes work, right?
Yeah, totally. Right. And you also alluded to the reality that for an Oklahoma City mayor, you're not paid a living wage, so you have another job. So I'm also
Right.
the dean of a law school, which is a real job.
I don't see how you balance everything. I mean,
It's not for everybody. I'm burning the candle at both ends, but But it is just the reality that is required in this situation. But no, I mean, I'm sure to some extent people see the fun of it, but I mean, yeah, of course there's countless hours of sort of, the behind the scenes work and planning and coalition building and meetings and conversations and writing, that goes into the final product but what, another thing you alluded to is really important to me, has always been fun to me, about this life that I've chosen, is that it is never dull. It's like always different, and you can kind of chase your passions, and make it what you want every day. But it's certainly no 2 days are alike, and that's enjoyable.
I love that you're also not afraid to be you and sort of put some of the stuff out there. Like I mentioned before we start recording, I noticed you're also into sneakers. I don't know if your son sort of like got you into sneakers or the basketball, which came first, but I definitely see that on your social media. I mean, I like good looking sneakers, and I like, as a subset of that, sneakers that either reflect thunder colors, blues and oranges, or sneakers that are actually like signature sneakers for our players. Especially as the mayor, that feels fitting. That's cool.
I just like meaning, so having meaning behind my shoes even, probably is attractive to me. So as mayor, it's like, if you think about how far back, 7 years doesn't sound that long, but it's a lifetime in Thunder history. I mean, when I started, I was wearing PGs and Westbrooks, and then I was wearing Chris Paul's. And then there was like a bit of an area there where like I didn't really have a signature player. I got some, I was wearing like Converse, but they weren't really like Shea Converse. I finally now, I'm going to get the opportunity, I think, in the years ahead, to wear, some Shays and some J-Dubs, maybe even some Chets, So I should not want for official player signature sneakers in the years ahead. And I'm sure that's where my aesthetic will evolve.
What's the sneaker collection look like? How many are we talking? How many pairs?
Oh, I'm not like one of these guys that's got like,
you're not a collector
of sneakers. I don't make that much money. No, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, 10 pairs or something, I mean, if I had a lifestyle where I could wear sneakers every day, I maybe needed more. But since I'm only able to wear sneakers like in public, like once a month or something, I'm able to spread them out enough that it doesn't get too repetitive, so, but I have some favorites for sure.
Awesome. So let's imagine we're sitting here 5 years from now. What does OKC look like as far as like, if we're doing great, we took this thunder in a bottle, we took advantage, we kept up the momentum. In your mind, what does a win look like for an OKC maybe 5 years from now?
Well, I think it's just more of everything, I mean, ultimately, if you would ask what is our philosophy here at OKC for the last 30 years, it's just improving our quality of life, which provides more opportunities economically, more opportunities from a lifestyle perspective. And it does ultimately lead to more people. That's a debate people have. I don't want any more people, it's like traffic's worse, and you're like, well, I get that. I said, but we've actually run this experiment both ways. And in the 1980s, we didn't grow. And as it turns out, when nobody wants to live here, you don't want to live here either, So like, if you want to have these amazing things that we currently enjoy, you can't build a wall around the city. So like, people are going to take you up on the offer. They're going to want to be a part of it too. So I think there's naturally going to be a lot more people. I don't want people for the sake of more people, but I also know that more people is the validation that we're doing something right because people want to live here. So I think you'll see a lot of population growth. I think you'll see, like I said, just a lot more of everything. I really think that as far as we've come, we're just kind of hitting the boom now because it's really now finally clicked for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And things like the NBA championship obviously are moments where that really crystallizes for people beyond our borders. And so when you look at, in my world, the city world, it's like, you kind of know it have been the boom cities that have taken a big leap over the last 30 years. Nashville, Austin, Charlotte back in the 80s and 90s. I think we're clearly that city now. I used to probably say, I hope we're about to become that city. I think we're there. I could win an NBA championship and not say that. So I think we're there now, and that's beginning. This really is the beginning of that chapter. So it's going to be booming here for a while. And that presents some challenges. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ignorant to that, but I think it's going to be all in all, I think for most people who love Oklahoma City and have loved the changes and the growth, they're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's just amazing just being, a kid from South OKC, just even like walking in Scissortail Park and seeing how different that area is now.
Yeah,
right?
well, sure. Where that was like a light industrial area on the wrong side of Interstate 40, yep. And now it's amazing, and it's a bridge, literally and figuratively to South OKC, which I like. And I think it's a place that brings us together across what had been a historic divide.
Yep.
And that's a great example of a place that's really going to change in the next 20 years because you have this world-class park. People invest and build around places like that. And it's starting to happen. It's been very slow, but it's definitely going to happen over the next 20 years. And so really thinking about how different the immediate environment around Scissortail Park will be 20 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now is really cool to imagine.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, what's your relationship with boredom? Because you being in your shoes, you're always going place to place. Are you okay with boredom, or you feel like...
Are you saying boredom?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that word. I don't know what it means.
I was going to say, do you feel like you always have to do something, or what?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I mean, when you have 2 full-time jobs and you're the president of the Conference of Mayors and you have a wife and 2 kids, no, I mean, every moment has to be used efficiently. I mean, you're lucky I'm not also checking emails while doing this podcast.
Yeah.
No, there's no boredom. Unfortunately, I don't miss boredom. I maybe miss doing fun things, like watching, streaming a show or something, or reading a book, but there's just no time for that. So I'll look forward to that in retirement, I guess. Yeah. But no, I live a level of busyness that is really probably incomprehensible to most people, and good for them. Nobody really should do this, but it is the way it's worked out for me. But it does mean that don't come to me and tell me you were too busy for something. I assure you, you do not even, I can make you busy. You don't even know what that looks like.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're super busy, but before we sign off, where can people find you? Social media? I know you're really active on IG, but I don't know. Do you like other platforms as well?
Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Okay.
And Threads.
Okay.
And I post it all myself.
Awesome.
So I'm the only one with the passwords. So for better or for worse, that is really me. I recognize that for some politicians, maybe most politicians, they have a staff
team,
that's doing that. But I always thought, who would let a guy run around town with the David Holt mask on and pretend to be you? So why do you let him do that to millions of people on social media? Who knows what that person's going to say? No, I have to control that because it's literally me. And I do think it yields a better result because it's more authentic. But yes, those are where people can find me. If you want to know what's going on in Oklahoma City, I definitely think that is curated pretty well on those 4 platforms.
Awesome.
By me personally, while I am doing podcasts and checking my emails and taking phone calls.
Good reviews. It's really cool. I think I just want to say, keep up the great work. I see everything that you're doing, even outside of your normal duties, right? That New York Times article that you did, that was really cool. It was really inspiring. Oh, yeah. Right now, just the political scene seems really heavy. And when we do have people that like to speak up and aren't afraid to speak up, that's really commendable. So
thank you. That. Yes, no, I'm as kind of disappointed in the people who hold elected office as about anybody else is. I think it's one of the probably one of the worst times in American history.
Yeah.
For a drought of authentic, inspirational political leaders who are also trying to unify us, trying to find common ground. Mm-hmm. I just try to control the corner of the world I can and set a different example of the way I think things used to work around here.
Yeah.
in this business of politics, and try to live up to the aspirations of our country, which was always to sort of find common ground, find a compromised outcome that was satisfactory to enough people that was as close to consensus as politics could find.
Yeah.
I think we have that political culture in Oklahoma City, and I've certainly encouraged and cultivated it. But thank you for saying that. And we'll just keep trying to see if the rest of the state or the rest of the world could finally come our way. But I like what we got going here.
It doesn't go unnoticed, because I think right now it's pretty difficult where people are just kind of just like going with the flow. And I think that's right now it's not the time to do that. So definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for highlighting OKC with your podcast. Definitely. And you said you grew up in South OKC.
I did.
Where'd you go to high school?
U.S. Grant.
Okay.
Which now looks completely different. I went to the old school U.S. Grant, so now it looks a lot cooler.
Yeah. Well, very
US
good.
Grant,
Well, glad that a South Side kid and a North Side kid could come together.
Yeah, definitely.
Across this cactus.
You're welcome back anytime. And also, I don't know if you have a special announcement, any governor announcement or anything like that. But if you do, if you ever want to come back.
All right. I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the super talented, the one and only David Holt on the Maverick Podcast. In dreams, we trust.